Hey YouTube, I'm going to talk to you guys about this list that I saw from Fox College Football. It turns out in 2025, there's a College Football Hall of Fame ballot. Now, if you've never been to the College Football Hall of Fame, it's in Atlanta. I've been there, I think, 3 times. It's a nice place. It's cool. It's right across from the National Aquarium, which, by the way, the aquarium in Atlanta is second to none. It's all, like, I've been to a lot of aquariums. I've been to the one in Baltimore, D.C. I think they closed the one in D.C. now. But Baltimore, D.C., and Atlanta has the very best. They have fucking whale sharks, bro. Their tank is bigger than you could ever imagine. They literally have whales in the Atlanta Aquarium. It's nuts. We're not talking about a dolphin show, a bullshit little, no, I'm talking about it's great. So if you go to downtown Atlanta and you go to the Olympic Park area, you can go to the Coke Museum, you can go to the National Aquarium, right? You can go to the zoo, it's a little bit further away, but then you can find yourself at the College Football Hall of Fame. And if you find yourself at the College Football Hall of Fame, I want to tell you that you're going to see things. Now, me, when I go to something like that, I read everything because I'm a nut, right? I want to learn as much about everything, so I go really slow. Now, I saw this list of first ballot Hall of Famers, people who are going to be first ballot Hall of Famer. They're there. It's their first time getting voted. I don't know. These aren't the guys selected, right? I'm assuming it's just the ballot. These weren't the guys selected. And if it is, no, it can't be. It's just coaches, first-timers, people that are available. So I decided to look at this list, and I need you guys to know that, like, some of the players on this list, people just assume they're Hall of Famers, right? Guys like, I don't know, Aaron Donald, Desean Jackson. You just go, yeah, that guy's great. That guy's this, that, or the other. You just assume they're Hall of Famers because they were so good in the NFL. But that's not true. At least not on this list. If we're looking at the best players on this list, I'm going to tell you the order at which I would do this. So number 1 on this list is Nick Saban. He needs to be in no matter what. He's the GOAT. Greatest of all time. Won everything you could ever win multiple times over multiple times. I can tell you that in my childhood and in my teens and early 20s, Pete Carroll was the guy for me, and I really hated Nick Saban. But over the last dozen years now, over the last maybe 12, 15 years, I've grown to appreciate Nick Saban for everything he accomplished. I've grown to respect that man's accomplishments, and there's no denying he's the greatest of all time. So he's the GOAT. He's in. The next guy on this list that should be in no matter what is Urban Meyer. What Urban Meyer's done at every stop is remarkable, going undefeated at Utah, winning national titles at Ohio State, Florida, and then doing all that when you started at Bowling Green is just so impressive. Because who else is coming from Bowling Green, right? Nick Saban came from Toledo. Maybe every great coach comes from the Mack. Maybe. Maybe. But after that, on this list, the next guy, a lot of people think it should be Mark Ingram, but I don't, man. I think the next most accomplished college player on this list is Manti Te'o. Manti Te'o finished his career with 437 tackles. Do you guys have any clue what that means? And he finished second in the Heisman. I think it was to Johnny Manziel. But second in the Heisman as a linebacker, that doesn't happen. Linebackers aren't winning the Heisman. Defenders aren't doing it. You need to play both ways. Shout out to Charles Woodson. And you need to do like some type of special teams freak stuff. But here was Manti Te'o, dominated as a linebacker. Won the Maxwell Award, Walter Camp Award, Nagurski Award, Lombardi Award, Butkus Award, Bednarik Award, Ronnie Lott Award. He won it all, bro. 2-time All-American. Manti Te'o was great, and he got his team to the national title game. They lost, but he got him in the game. And then you go look at Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram is next for me after Manti Te'o. Mark Ingram obviously won the Heisman, but he robbed Toby Gerhart. Toby Gerhart was like dwarfed him in every statistical category. They just magically said Toby Gerhart had 28 touchdowns. That's a Pac-12 record, but we're not going to respect that because Mark Ingram scored 17 in the SEC. It's so hard to score in the SEC. Whatever, bro. Whatever nonsense. They convinced him. It was the closest vote in the history of the Heisman. The closest vote. Mark Ingram wins, though. But the problem is he wanted his sophomore year. His next year, it was a down year. He didn't even rush for 1,000 yards. So for me, Mark Ingram is not ahead of Manti Te'o. He's just not. He's good. He won a Heisman. It's not Manti Te'o. Manti Te'o goes down as like one of the top 5 Notre Dame defenders of all time. Top 3. It's nuts. So I got Mark Ingram there. The next guy on my list is George Cumby. You might not know who he is. George Cumby played in the 70s. 3-time. Back then you couldn't play your freshman year. So he's a 3-time All-American. Oklahoma. It's there. I guess you got the graphics. I didn't know they had the graphics. 405 career tackles for George Cumby. Shout out to him. I think he deserves it. I can't believe he's not in the Hall of Fame. I don't know what that's about. But he's an all-time great in Oklahoma history, if you will. Next on this list for me is Steve Slaton. Steve Slaton, West Virginia, when he left school, he was everything. He had the most all-purpose yards in a season, over 2,000. He still has their school records for most touchdowns. It might get broken, but he had the most touchdowns ever. I think he did like 50 touchdowns. And he was that right-hand man to Pat White. I think Steve Slaton... obviously, I shouldn't leave this stuff out, but he was obviously an All-American. He was All-Conference 2 years, All-American. I think, what is it called? Undisputed? Not undisputed. What's the word? Unanimous? Yeah, unanimous. My bad. Unanimous All-American. Like Steve Slaton, go look it up, man. His numbers are incredible. His touchdowns are incredible. Everything he did at West Virginia was real. For me, he's right there at 6. 7 after that is Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor, he didn't play his senior year. He went to the league too early. But that junior year, a lot of you guys don't know that. I don't know if you know. But Sean Taylor had 10 interceptions his junior year. 10 interceptions. It's like, what? I hadn't seen anybody get 10 interceptions like that since maybe Mark Carrier, I think that was his name, for the Bears. Mark Carrier did it. Remember that? But 10 interceptions, All-American, Big East Defensive Player of the Year. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. So shout out to Sean Taylor. He's next. Then after that on this list, I would probably go John Henderson. 6'7". I think he was 6'7", 270. If you didn't get a chance to see John Henderson play, back-to-back All-American, Outland Trophy Award winner. John Henderson was everyone. I want to say he had the school record for sacks for Tennessee. 36. I know this. Oh, here's what I wanted to say. Tennessee that year with John Henderson set the school the school record for allowing only 817 rushing yards on the season. I want you to think about that. 817 rushing yards on a season. It's out of this world. So John Henderson is number 8 for me. Number 9, Alex Brown. Some of you guys don't know Alex Brown. 3-time All-American, 3-time first-team All-SEC, in the Florida Hall of Fame. Some of you guys just don't know who he is. For whatever reason, you're just not well-versed on football. But he's in the Florida Hall of Fame. 33 sacks. Beast of a man. Aaron Darnold's probably next. Had one monster season where he won the Outland Trophy, the Bednarik, and Nagurski. And if you don't know what those are for, they're for different accolades, best lineman, best that. But he won all those trophies. So Aaron Darnold did it in 1 year. He was a 2-time first-team All-American or All-ACC. One of the two. He was one of them. So I can pull up notes. I haven't even thought about that. Give me a second here. I want to get it right. I most of the stuff I say is up here, bro. But you never know. Give me a second here. I don't like to say that wrong. I want to say he wasn't 2-time. It was 1 time. That's on me. It was 1 time. The next guy on this list that nobody knows is Levar Fisher. Levar Fisher, 4-year starter at NC State in the early 2000s. He was a 2-time All-American. And he was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year in 2000. Okay, he had over 400. He had 492 tackles. That dude was him. Okay, after Levar Fisher is Alex Mack. Alex Mack was a great offensive lineman at Cal, 3-time All Pac-10. I think it was Pac-10 back then, not Pac-12. 3-time All Pac-10, first-teamer, back-to-back All-American, and I want to say he started 39 games in a row. 39 consecutive starts. Shout out to Alex Mack. After him is Jim Pyne. I didn't know much about Jim Pyne. I had to actually go do research on him today because that obviously I was like 8 years old when he played, but they consider him an ACC legend. He's one of 4 players to have his number retired by Virginia Tech. He is the first, he was the first unanimous All-American on the offensive side of the ball at Virginia Tech. I'm assuming Bruce Smith was before him on the defensive side, but this was everything, man. Jim Pyne, his number's retired. He's just the guy. So I believe there's buildings at Virginia Tech named after Jim Pyne. I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame, but look where I had him ranked. Gaston Green is after that. If you guys don't remember Gaston Green, he was a running back at UCLA. When he finished school, he was 2-time All-American, 2-time All-Pac-10. He was the all-time leading rusher at UCLA. And I remember when Skip Hicks started breaking his records, only for touchdowns, didn't break his yards in the 90s. And then it took a guy named Franklin to actually set the record. I'm forgetting Franklin's first name. Maybe Timothy? James? But Franklin broke the record. Franklin has the all-time record. Gaston Green is the second all-time leading rusher in UCLA football history. And you think of like Maurice Jones-Drew, doesn't matter. This man broke all the records, set them all and everything. So pretty good stuff. He's still second all-time in UCLA history. So he's there. After that, I got Desean Jackson. Had a good season, 2-time All-American. Really what Desean Jackson was good for, he led the nation in punt return touchdowns, punt return yards, but wasn't that great as a receiver. Only had like 1,000-yard season. Nothing remarkable. And we're getting down here where it's like, well, we know he was good. We know he was good. Next is Alan Faneca out of LSU. Started a ton of games, 210 pancakes. Was an All-American only in 1997. It's not a bad thing. He started 36 games. Back then, they didn't have COVID. 36 was a lot of games. Good. He's one of the greatest linemen of all time in the NFL. So people recognize the name and how great he is. I believe he's in a Hall of Fame for the NFL. I'm pretty sure he is, at least maybe the Steelers Hall of Fame, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but it is what it is. So he was next on my list. After Faneca, who's left? Wayne Martin's still here. I haven't done Wayne Martin. Terrence Metcalf. They're both very good. I think those are the only 2 left. Oh, and Kenjon Barner, who doesn't belong on the list. But Wayne Martin, good player again, multiple All-American. Same thing with Terrence Metcalf. These guys, and Metcalf's actually a coach right now, but these guys are really good. I guess you got to be an All-American to even be on the ballot. And then Kenjon Barner's second-team All-American. He had one good season where he went for like 1,700 yards, 21 touchdowns while at Oregon. So I think he's probably the lowest of all these guys when it comes to career accolades and accomplishments. But for me, the no-shit, no-brainers that are going to make it right now, Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, Manti, Mark Ingram, like those are big. I'm sure they're going to give it to Sean Taylor for nostalgic reasons, but these guys are monsters, and it's just a shame George Cumby's not in yet after being a 3-time All-American. You know, it's just a shame some of these guys got to wait this long. When I started reading up on who Jim Pyne was, I was like, how the hell is he not in the Hall of Fame? So just wanted to teach you guys about some of these players, talk about it, and just never forget, it's about their college accolades to get into the College Football Hall of Fame. It is not about their professional accolades. That's not it, right? There's a bunch of players who became famous and great once they got out of college, and they weren't perennial powers year in and year out. So your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Good luck, y'all.